But what we're working on is not barking at other dogs and wanting to play with them when we see them. And
Staying
when I
focused.
say we, it's not me. I'm not the one barking.
Yeah. Hi, and welcome back to the Get a Student Life podcast, where we talk about all things student life and tell student stories. I'm your host, Molly Ballison, and today I'm joined by Michelle Tassinari, the Assistant Dean of Students for Outreach and Prevention, and the Duke of Students.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, Michelle.
Thank you for having us, Molly.
Yeah, do you want to start by telling me a little bit about your involvement on campus?
Yeah. So I have been connected to Boise State for 10 years now. Love being a Bronco, blue and orange. Currently, I'm serving as the Assistant Dean of Students for Outreach and Prevention, as you said, which is kind of just a fancy way of saying that I help students when things go unexpectedly, getting those students connected to more crisis resources. And there's Duke, making sure we know he's here.
That's good.
Yeah.
What are some things you've learned or observed from your job on campus of how students need to be supported the best emotionally, mentally, academically?
Yeah. Such a good question. And I think it's important that we actually take time to think about this too, because most students that I've spoken with after a suicide attempt or after a hospitalization, it all comes back to one thing, and it's someone caring about them. And it's so simple, and it feels like, it's not enough. Oftentimes it feels like there's way more we can do. There's, all these prevention days we can do, but really at the end of the day, someone needs to know that they belong here and someone cares about them and notices them. So a powerful story that I have heard about a student on campus just really feeling valued when their professor noticed that they were struggling with their well-being. And I don't know necessarily what made the professor wonder about the student's well-being, but they had some kind of intuition that made them wonder, and they asked the student after class to come talk with them. And that completely shifted the student's mental health and actually helped them stay safe and protect them against a suicidal crisis. So those small things that we think as just everyday people, we think that they're not enough. They actually are. They're the small building blocks that change somebody's outlook on life, or they make them feel like they have a home on campus, or that they're not invisible. The number of students that I hear say, no one will notice if XYZ, or nobody cares if blah, blah, blah. And the sad thing is they genuinely feel like that's true. And so if we are able as a community within Boise State to take a moment to help every individual we interact with feel like they are seen, saying hi, holding open a door, asking someone that extra question, not just the comment, how are you? It makes a difference, and it really changes someone's outlook on their well-being and their purpose.
Absolutely. Even in the small things, like you just mentioned, it doesn't have to be this grand gesture, but just acknowledging somebody and, taking one step further than just the generic, how's it going?
Yeah.
So that somebody can really feel like they're being listened to.
Yeah.
And that's a really awesome story, especially for a professor and student relationship, because I think it's easy for students to feel like robots rather than humans. I have to do the work, I have to go to class, and my professor's just there to help me learn. But there's so many people on campus to support students that students might not realize.
Yeah.
And so it's just sweet to hear of those stories of reminding students that your advisors and your professors, they are also human and have hearts too. They're not just your drill sergeant or anything like that.
Yeah, it's easy to see it that way too, because oftentimes our professors are enforcing things or have to be the accountability person. But gosh, all of the professors I've interacted with, they really have a heart for serving and caring, and that's why they're here in higher education versus any other kind of job. It's because this is a unique environment, and they get to be around a lot of really cool people and emerging adults, and they take that role very seriously.
Yeah, it's a big role.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you're a part of that on campus,
Oh my gosh.
and I can just tell that you have a big heart for students, which is really sweet.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Duke helps.
How does Duke play into your work on campus, and what does he do on campus?
Yeah, so Duke is our official Duke of Students, and he is a he's in training to become a therapy dog. So I am a licensed professional counselor by training, and I have had some experience in the private practice world being a clinician on my own. And so Duke previously was kind of, his role was to be a part of my animal-assisted interventions and counseling. On campus, I don't operate clinically, so I don't do therapy, I don't do safety planning or anything. But I got some wonderful approval from supervisors and leadership that Duke as an intervention could still be possible in my case management support. So Duke, while he's still in training, he joins me in my post-hospitalization meetings and all the meetings about student mental health. And he, can build a relationship with someone way faster than any of us humans can. And he gets away with a lot more than us humans can too, right? And it just helps to have that kind of really natural relationship in the room that doesn't feel as forced as me, someone who is in a position of power and asking a student to come meet with me in a vulnerable state, so they're not able to understand or know what to expect from the meeting, but you kind of know what to expect from a dog, right? A lot of us have had experiences with a dog. And so Duke's able to kind of be there to de-escalate situations and make us feel a little bit more friendly. Our office, the Dean of Students' office, can sometimes feel a little bit sterile and punitive because some of the work we do is accountability focused, and oftentimes that can feel difficult for students who are moving through the accountability process. So having Duke there to kind of reassure folks that we are still human, just like the professors. We still care about everyone, and so much so that a dog even joins us, and he trusts us, so you can trust us too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just brings a little bit of like fun into the room, and sometimes, talking to people can be intimidating, even though I don't think you're intimidating at all.
Thanks, Molly.
But like animals aren't as intimidating, and that actually, I think that like there's science behind petting an animal or something like does something to your nervous system, just like relaxes you.
Yeah.
Which is really important for the work that you do and talking to students, making sure they're feeling calm inside.
Yeah. I think it was Washington State came out with some research that petting a dog for 8 seconds significantly increases all of the good hormones in our brain, the good neurochemicals that help us feel good, like oxytocin and dopamine and all the fun things that help us feel better about life. And that's kind of what I have kept in my back pocket when I have Duke with me, is even if, we don't have a student meeting that day, but we walk through campus and a student asks to pet him and Duke gets to interact with that student, we just had a positive impact on that student's day on a biological level.
Yeah,
that's
cool? A good way to say that.
Right?
That's really cool.
Neurobiological.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've been feeling good since he got here, and I was just petting him.
Well, he chose to lay by you and not me, so what does that say?
Do you want to invite him up here?
Sure. Duke, would you like to come up?
Oh. Yeah. And you said he is still in training?
He's still in training, yeah. So we have done like all the obedience training and stuff, but what we're working on is a little bit of impulse control around other dogs. So a therapy dog is different than a service animal. A service animal, there he is, he has thoughts, right? A service animal provides a specific service to an individual or has a role or tasks to perform around that individual that they work with. And it is not a dog or an animal that can be pet by other folks. It is working. An emotional support animal is also a different kind of animal. And their role is to provide, just like that, emotional support to individuals who might have a diagnosis that, impacts their ability in any kind of life functioning. And it also helps folks have their animals present when they're in housing situations that otherwise might not allow animals in the space. And then a therapy dog is another kind of working animal that doesn't provide a service to a specific individual, but rather is available to any kind of individuals to interact with. They're not performed to do a specific kind of task, but they are trained and socialized to interact with people and enjoy that interaction. So we have solidly trained on all of that, but what we're working on is not barking at other dogs and wanting to play with them when we see them. And when I say we, it's not me. I'm not the one barking.
Yes.
An interesting thing is Duke's biggest hurdle in training has been learning how to relax. And I found that such a funny parallel to what students experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like he well, what I thought was just energy that he needed to burn was actually a lot of anxious energy that he needed to understand how to control and manage. So this summer we worked on something called the relaxation protocol, and it helped Duke learn how to, there's a specific spot in my house on this dark blue mat, and he knows that that's where he goes when he needs to relax and calm down. And I can give the cue to relax, and he'll lay down and have some quiet time alone. And it's really, gosh, it's helped me. And he found his treats now, huh? It's helped me as the dog owner, but also I think it helps him know kind of what the expectations are, and gosh, to give his nervous system a minute to calm down and be a happy dog without always feeling like an 11 out of 10, which is what I hear from our students sometimes. Like, I can't sleep, I'm so stressed out, I have anxiety, I have these big tests, this project, my mom's mad at me, you know, all these different things. So it's an interesting parallel.
Yeah, I've never thought of dogs needing like daily or like routine relaxation, just because they just seem to be happy all the time and live their life and just go in where their human goes.
Yeah. Well, much like humans, everyone's different. Every dog's different. And so I have had other dogs that just know when they need to take a nap and they go take a nap. Duke, like some other humans, does not always know that. And so I have to remind him as his caretaker that, you know, I often say to him, like that Snickers commercial, you're not you when you're hungry. Because he like forgets to eat and he'll go like a full day or two without eating. And I'm like, bro, you need to eat. You are being grumpy and you need some nourishment and you need to take a nap. So, he needs reminders, and I feel like sometimes that's what my interventions are for students too. Like, when's the last time you had a vegetable? Are you drinking water? Getting sleep?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, I could.
When should a student reach out to you in your office, and what would that process look like?
Yeah, great question. So students can reach out to us anytime if they are needing help. They can find our website and look at the list of case managers and select the case manager that they think is appropriate for their own situation. We've got all of our pictures up, and we also have a list of our specialties. So they're welcome to do that on their own. You can also submit a student outreach and assistance referral if you're concerned for somebody else, or even if you don't know how to reach out for help yourself. That is also on our webpage for refer a student. That's the tile. And then if you are worried about somebody's safety, we ask you to first call 911 if it's an immediate safety concern. But also if it's not immediate, but you have some ongoing safety concerns for someone, maybe they're in an unsafe relationship and their physical safety is at risk. Maybe they are having thoughts of suicide and you don't know what to do. You need to get them some help. A care referral is going to be the best one. So that is also on our website. There's also a care website. If you just type in Boise State search bar care Boise State, it will pop up. Yeah, and you can find all the referrals there. Students can come to us for a variety of reasons. We have a case manager in our office that helps with basic needs, so housing or food insecurity. We have someone that helps with academic disruptions. So if someone has been gone because of some illness or perhaps grief or maybe some extenuating circumstances like a natural disaster, we help folks pick up the pieces from there. Another thing that we've kind of been helping with lately is when students have been kind of passed around the university and they don't really know where to go for their complex concern, or maybe they have a grievance that nobody is listening to and they need just somebody to listen to them. We often serve as that group of people to listen to students. And then I serve students for mental health focused concerns kind of on the higher level. So if there is any safety concern for a student or kind of a chronic mental health concern, I often help students get connected to counseling or find support groups or think about ways to make their Boise State experience a little bit more supportive of their mental health. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and it's good to know that there are people and a place on campus for students to find that help. What are some, I'd love to hear some stories, if you have one or two, about how Duke has impacted students, like you were talking about. You've taken him to post-hospitalization visits, and
How does that kind of interaction look?
Yeah. So Duke just has a different level of sensing things. Dogs actually have the ability to taste our neurochemicals that come through our hands, through our sweat. They're able to pick up on pheromones, and they can just read and sense our body language differently than humans can. So he picks up on a lot of things that I may not otherwise pick up on, but also is able to attend to things differently than I am. So I've had at least 2 situations that I can think of where a student has come in with maybe some kind of injury on them from self-injurious behavior or perhaps an accident that was really traumatic for them. And Duke went over and checked it out, sniffed their injury, and on one student gave them a little kiss next to it. But then what happened afterwards, so Duke initiated that contact, and then the student just took some time, both of them took some time to just be together, and I just kind of sat there quietly in the corner, and both of the students kind of massaged Duke's ears and gave him some good pets, and Duke just stared up at them and was like, I don't know, so there's some other connection that is outside of us. And what I've noticed too is students find it easier to talk about their trauma or their crisis to Duke rather than me. I think it's challenging to be vulnerable to someone you don't know and then add in the position of power and all the other things. So telling it to a dog who's fluffy and looks kind of silly most of the time, right, is a lot easier. And Duke loves it because he likes to be talked to and he likes to be pet. So it works out pretty well. But him cueing into the injuries has kind of been one of the most profound moments that I've seen. And just his ability to sense when somebody needs support. I've also had a couple students who have had animals back home but don't have animals here. And when I meet with them and they see Duke, it kind of releases their emotions for them, and they're able to tap into what's really going on for them instead of maybe trying to put up a brave front and saying that they're okay, but saying, oh, I'm actually really homesick, I'm not doing well, I miss my dog, having Duke here is so nice, I need to figure out how to be around dogs more. And so we're able to work with that and talk about getting involved with the Therapy Dog Thursdays and all the other kind of opportunities around the Treasure Valley to be around dogs more.
Absolutely. That's really sweet that he can pick up on people's emotions to be able to help students.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Therapy Dog Thursdays. Do you want to tell us when that is and where it can be found?
Yeah, so Therapy Dog Thursdays is an intervention that Bronco Fit offers, and they host them once a month on a Thursday through Idaho Helping Dogs, and you can find the dates on the Bronco Fit Instagram page, which is @healthservices, or you can go to their website and check out when the Idaho Helping Dogs will be coming. There's some pretty cute dogs that join us. During Suicide Prevention Week, we had this giant Mastiff who was so excited to be around people. He rolled over and was just letting everyone pet his belly, and it was very fun. And I heard from multiple students that having a dog there helped them feel better because they miss their dogs at home. Yeah,
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
And kind of gets you outside of the school frame of mind and just take a break to pet a dog.
Yep, absolutely.
And then, like you said, that gives us the good chemicals to go forward in the day.
Yep,
So,
all the oxytocin.
yes, definitely love seeing the therapy dogs on Thursdays when I run into them. So
Right.
if I can encourage students to go find the therapy dogs on Thursday, just take a second out of your day to go pet some dogs because it's good for them and it's good for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, and I'm so glad that Duke could come and make an appearance.
Yeah.
And he's so well behaved and so comfortable, so
Oh,
maybe
thank
we'll
you.
have him again.
Oh my gosh, we'd love to be here. Thank you for having us,
Absolutely.
Molly.
Yes. If you resonated with any of the mental health topics that we talked about today, or if you've experienced any anxiety or depression, I'd encourage you to go read my blog post on the Student Life blog called What I Wish I Would Have Known About My Mental Health. And if you enjoyed this episode, recommend it to a friend and subscribe to the Get a Student Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And shout out to the Albertsons Library for letting us record in the sound studio and making this possible. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.